All right. You ready? I can't hear you,
I,
girl.
I had to
There you go.
unmute. Listen, sis, I hope I'm looking okay.
Oh
It's
no, you look
it's
well.
still spring break, boo. So I'm trying to. I've been working. I'm working. I'm on the clock.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay, well
um,
let's get it in and get it out because you
I
got things to do, ma'am.
listen. I gotta finish this intense email that I'm sending out to the eighth grade families.
Oh Lord. Okay, so this is
Yeah,
for my school project. So let's get started. This is
let's go.
KMA News with Kimberly Aldrich, and today we are interviewing someone who is near and dear to my heart. I love her vibe. I love her energy. I look at her as a mentor. Um, just I love the way she interacts with her students, and I'm so blessed to also be working with this lovely lady, and her name is Assistant Principal Mellanie Brady of Hardy Middle School for DC Public Schools. Welcome, Miss Brady.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Kimberly Aldridge. I'm actually honored that you even like decided to interview me. This excites me. I think the other part of the job outside of supporting students, the part that I really love is supporting and coaching adults to just, you know, achieve their goals and achieve their dreams of
Mhm.
being in this here trenches, I like to call it, of education.
That it is.
So thank you again for choosing me.
I am so honored to have chosen you. First and foremost, this is an interview that I'm doing for school, but also this is something that is knowledgeable as well for myself because the fact that I am actually pursuing my degree in education and I want to keep it in the family, as we would call it. So I'm definitely excited about interviewing you and just kind of picking your brain to
Okay.
just get some information on what it's like to not only go from being an educator in the school system, but just being elevated to assistant principal, which is a pretty big deal. You know,
Right.
you're in leadership over a lot of staff members, a lot of kids, and a lot
Yes.
of drama, which we
Yes.
get to be in the trenches and see every single day.
Yes.
So, my first question is why did you choose education as your career path?
So to be honest with you, education chose me in a sense. I
Okay.
went to school. I had my mindset up that I was going to be this child psychologist. And so as I was going through like all of my psychology classes,
Mm-hmm.
I began to see how closely those classes were correlated to classes that were in education. And so I then said, oh, I'm gonna switch my major. I'm gonna be in education. And and in that, I thought about like how powerful it would be to go back home and be a
Mm-hmm.
part of the education system that, created this that you
Mm-hmm.
see right now before you today. And so I switched my major midway, and this is true story. After I switched my major, they told me, Miss Brady, you can't graduate until you pass the praxis. So in my head, I said, okay, I can do that. Well, little did I know, praxis included the math, and I hated math.
Got you.
And so I started I took the praxis, and I failed. And I was like, wait a minute. Does that mean I don't graduate? Like, what's happening? And so I could not move forward with like student teaching because I had not passed this exam. So I said, I'm not going to put my parents through more tuition and all of that. So I went back to psychology. I said, I got to get this done. So I finished school, and this is it's ironic that as soon as I finished, a charter school in North Carolina opened. And some way, somehow, someone shared my name with the CEO of this charter school.
Hmm.
And I actually became the first person that they hired. And it was amazing because this school literally was still building walls. And I
Wow.
was the first person they hired, and they said, listen, can you help us with building this school? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I didn't know that building meant like, we're going to need you to help us hang up some boards. We're going to need you to help us bring in some tables. And so
Wow.
I literally became a part of the building of this charter school, and I started teaching. I think from there, it was just, as they say, it was on and popping. And I went from teaching to being an instructional coach to being a dean of students to writing curriculum to being a summer school principal to
Wow.
assistant principal. So I have been on this journey, Kim, for a long time. And I will say that on this journey, what's important to note is that I've been kicked off this journey too, right?
Mhm.
I have
Mhm.
been I've had, I would say, mountains placed in front of me that said, if you really want it, you're going to have to come get it. And
Mm.
so I have never allowed any mountain or anything to get me off my path, whether it was cancer, as you know, whether
Mhm.
it was, honey, I lost a job,
Mm.
whether it was something that you don't know. I actually, from AP, put myself back in the classroom. I resigned from a position. So
Wow.
there has been a lot on this journey, but the one thing that has remained very true and clear is that
Mhm.
this is a journey that I want to be on, and I have uh no indication or no anything in me that says I'm going to, end this journey.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That was a lot, and I enjoyed every bit of it because this is like peeling back those layers
Mm-hmm.
to, show me who you are. Like I know you, but
Right.
I love to get to know. I love to hear back a
Mhm.
good juicy backstory. It's a
Yes.
nice healthy background to
Yes.
undergird you. Yes,
And,
I
and let me
truly
tell
enjoyed that.
you, people don't know. I took the praxis 15 times.
Wow.
And you listen, I think I can say, my mama. Ask her about that journey.
Right.
15 times. You talking about 250, $300 a test. I would pay it. I'm like, I'm not giving up. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm called to do. See, it's a difference in what you want to do versus what you called to do. I
Uh-huh.
have realized that this is my calling. So I'm not going to let anything get in the way of my purpose and my calling. So I took that thing 15 times.
Ooh. But you overcame it and you passed it, and now you are an assistant principal
Yes.
of a very, very, very awesome middle school in Washington,
Yes.
D.C., in a
Yes.
very plush and prestigious area of the city.
Woo.
So you definitely, it's definitely a calling on your life as far as education. So let
Absolutely.
so how do you encourage your teachers and your support staff to be role models to our student body? Because I know
It's
some days it's
yes.
tough. It's tough.
We know it's tough, but I think it's also important for administrators, teachers, and staff to remember you once were a middle schooler, okay?
That's
And you
true.
have to think about what were you going through when you were in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I tried to push the button in any way possible. I knew the type of parents that I had. Okay, from Southeast DC, Bury Farms. My parents ain't play about
Mm-hmm.
education, but baby, I was gonna push that button. I was gonna try. So we have to remember that our kids are going to try us, right? But as adults, we have to think about how did we want adults when we were middle schoolers to handle it. I wanted to talk things out. I wanted to have a safe space to express how I'm feeling. I wanted someone to hear me. And here's the thing, sometimes as administrators, teachers, staff, we don't think that our babies, and I call them babies because they are,
They still
we
are.
don't think that our babies have a right to have a voice or a right to voice their opinion.
And
We
that's
don't
something I
have,
learned myself.
yes,
I had
we
to,
don't,
that was a learning opportunity
yeah,
for me as well.
yes. And we don't have to agree because most of the time we don't, right? In
No.
our heads, it's like, what in the world is he talking about? Like, this is just crazy. But we have to give them the space to at least get it out and then to give them some direction, right? We got to give them some direction. And so we have, it's okay. I know you got people over there. Tell them I
Uh,
said hey. So
Brady said, hey.
I was there. Every time I was in that classroom, I just put some in your class.
He just put some in your what in her
I just put
office.
some in your office. He just exterminate your office.
oh, thank you. And I know this is not a
Uh-huh.
part of this interview, but you got to be real. Thank
That's
you for
is a
thank you
part
for
of the process.
exterminating my office because I will be in there tomorrow, and I don't want any little rodents.
I
Okay,
know. Yeah.
okay.
They're gonna be my professor gonna be cracking up
But tell,
laughing.
hey, Professor Ogilvy. No, I'm just kidding. This is a part of the process of what it really looks like.
Yeah,
So
this is a
no,
part of
I
our
think
process.
just getting back to your question, it's really about remembering we once were middle schoolers, thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what is it that we desired as middle
Mm-hmm.
schoolers, and then knowing that we do have to create a space for our students to share with us. And again, we may not agree, but it's how we move forward to mold them, to
Yes.
really inspire and motivate them. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
hard out here in this world.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot going on. And so that would probably be my advice,
That is,
if you
you know
will.
what? I agree with you because it was a it's still a learning process, but I think as I've grown
Mm-hmm.
this year, I've learned a lot in how to deal with my kids because when I deal with them, first thing I go is into survival mode and I'm thinking like the way that our parents dealt with us.
Right.
So it's kind of that's the mindset I go into. But now I see that a lot of them are going through a lot outside of school. It's some pain there, it's some stress there, it's some frustration that they feel like we don't understand because we are adults. So now
Mhm.
I'm more eager to listen and slow to be the disciplinarian, and I'm quicker to say, okay, so what's really going on with you, so that
Mhm.
gives them kind of like, okay, she's softening her approach.
Mhm.
So it's a learning process, but that's an excellent response because it made me
Yeah.
really put myself in your shoes and think about what that
Yeah.
process is to
Yeah.
support our kids because they need it.
They do.
And
They really
sometimes
do.
they look at school as a safe haven, a lot of them, because it's a lot going out in the world that's very scary to them. And when they come here,
Mm-hmm.
they feel a little more calm or a little, even when they wilding, that's
Touche.
the thing. When they're wilding, they feel
Mm-hmm.
free because they know they're safe. And they know
Right.
we're gonna protect them while they're under our care. So that was an awesome
Exactly.
response.
Yes.
So what impact do public speaking and presentation skills have on your work and your progress within your profession?
So the one thing that I have learned as a leader
Mm-hmm.
is communication is key.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's just not communication. It's clear communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like being very clear about what it looks like, being clear about your expectations, being clear about um, strategies and protocols and systems that are being put in place for teachers, students, and families.
Right.
And that all plays a part of public speaking because you have to think about it's not just in writing of an email, but it is also when you have to address a group of students or you have to address parents like in our PTO meetings. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we know how powerful our PTO is. And so I have to be able to go in front of these parents and communicate effectively so that when they leave that platform or they leave that meeting, they walk away with knowing, okay, this is what it looks like. These are the expectations. And I just think about, I'll give an example of right now. I just shared with you that I was working on a email to eighth grade families.
Uh-huh.
I've been working on that email probably for an hour. And here's why. It might be a little over an hour because I want to make sure that in my communication, I am clear about my expectation. I am clear to say that if your student does not meet the Hardy core values, they will not go to New Jersey because I cannot ensure the safety and security of your students or others. So I have
That's
to be
right.
clear about what I'm saying, but also making sure I say it in a way that ruffles feathers, but not too much, right?
Right.
So public speaking is important because you want to make sure that you are communicating clearly and effectively.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head because we have a very diverse and very specific group of parents,
Yeah.
and they do not have a problem
Mm-mm.
asking the tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
They want very precise, clear, and specific responses. So I am totally on board and totally understand where you are coming from when we have to people have to understand what effective communication means. And that's the
Yeah.
thing about effective communication. You can communicate something and it still doesn't come across, and it still comes across kind of like you don't
Mm-hmm.
get it or you don't understand or you
Mm-hmm.
might not
Right.
catch it. But
Correct.
effective communication is being very, very, very clear and precise about what's
Mm-hmm.
being asked for and whatever message you're trying to convey. So
That
that,
is correct.
yes, ma'am.
And I will say, I will probably add to that, and this is like my true transparency, which is important to me, is
Mm-hmm.
that that was a learning curve for me because I was coming from Southeast DC, Ward 7, Ward 8, where parent involvement was very slim. So it was like
That's
I
true.
was not used to all of the emails with the questions or the visits with to the schools with the questions. So I had to learn how to make sure I communicated effectively, but also take into consideration that we serve as a very diverse community. And I want to ensure that for me, my response is showing that I am a this is something I'm pruning an equitable practitioner
Right.
in my responses.
Right.
I think the second lesson I've learned, Kim, that I would share with you is that, and this is not just at Hardy, but this should go with me wherever I go. Sometimes this goes with public speaking. You got to come from behind the emails. So something that I do at Hardy is I will say, I will respond, but I'll say, let's connect when you're available. Let's sit down because you will receive the message differently if you're
Mm-hmm.
really in front of um the person. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. I have
Yeah.
never been a person to be completely married to text messages, direct messages, and emails.
Yes.
Emails, yes, because I like to keep that electronic paper
That
trail.
right.
You know, document, keep track of everything. It helps keep
Right.
things organized. But I've always been a big believer that through those types of messaging, sometimes people hide behind it. And like you said, it may come off one way when it was meant a different way. So I'm a
Exactly.
big believer in face to face communication and connecting with people so that there is clarity and understanding and there is no
Right.
miscommunication within
Exactly.
the communication, because it does happen. Someone could send you a text and say one thing and you might get slightly offended because
Mhm.
it may be a slight tone within the words, but then they can call you and talk to you about it and you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. I just
Mhm.
misunderstood. I
Yeah,
misconstrued the message. So
yeah,
it definitely is a help. It definitely helps to build. And first, not only that, that connecting with people is the way you build relationships.
absolutely,
That's the way you foster relationships. So
absolutely.
you just got me all on board now. Let's go on here with these questions. So this is a great question because this is something that I have seen you push and drive for in action.
Okay.
What areas of improvement do you personally and professionally see for Hardy Middle School?
Ooh, what
She's
in,
like, that's a
what
big one.
in, no, what improvements do I see personally and professionally?
And personally, when I say personally, like
Give me,
you
yeah,
you came to Hardy and just loved all on this school. So I
mm-hmm,
know they're a big, huge part of your life, your daily
yes,
life. You put a lot of energy and time
yeah,
into the work you do here. So I see
yes,
that for myself.
okay, yeah. So, so I don't know if this answers the question, but I'm gonna say it because
Whatever. Say it.
this is my personal improvement is that I need to balance work and home life or work and personal life better.
Yeah.
Um, I find myself, it's almost like a force to find the balance. Like, and when I say force, it's like I'm putting on my schedule, all right, on this day, I'm going to leave at 4:30, or on this day, I'm going to go and get something to eat. Or on this day, I'm just going to go to the movie. Like I'm putting these things in my schedule,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's not organic. I feel like it's so forced, but I'm forcing it because I do want to make sure that I have a strong work work life and personal life.
That's right.
Can you hear background or we good?
Oh no, I can't hear anything in the
Okay,
background.
I'm sorry. Um, I also feel like I am so dedicated to my work.
Mm-hmm.
I think people feel like it's a cliche when people say, oh, I'm passionate about education, right? But I am, it for me, it's not a cliche. Like I am for real about this work. I am, when I'm in my reflective space,
Mm-hmm.
I am clear and I am vulnerable enough to say, ABC did not work. That did not look good. Right.
Uh-huh.
But I'm
Mm-hmm.
also able to say, oh, girl, you did that. We're going to continue that on tomorrow. We're going to continue that next year.
Right.
But that's because I'm always trying to grow and do better, always trying to grow and do better. I don't care if it's read a book. I don't care if it's I'm going to attend somebody's free webinar. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always trying to grow and just do better. And not just do better for me, but to do better for the students of DCPS. I think probably in the last 5 years, I've really been able to see that I really want greatness for our families and our students in DC.
And
DC
I
made
mean,
me.
and it's different when you are in it and you're in the thick
You
of it.
in
And
it.
we
You
are,
in it.
honey, we are in the thick of it up to
We
our
are,
elbows.
listen, we are in the thick of it. And I have been blessed, honored, and humbled to have come
Mm.
under some of, well, I'm not gonna say some, I'm gonna say the GOAT, in my opinion, of leadership. And that was Miss Vera White at Jefferson Junior High. Like for me, she was the GOAT. And I always think about how, regardless of where we came from, regardless of if what projects we came from, or the fact that we were from Southeast, or our parents' socioeconomic status, girl, she didn't care. She had high expectations for everybody. So
And
for me,
that's,
it's like,
yeah.
why can't I do the same? I have high expectations of everybody,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of where they are, where they, and we know our kids. We have some of the most elite students, right?
Yes.
But we
Yes, ma'am.
also have some students who need a little more support.
They need
They
a little bit more
need they
navigation,
need exactly.
some more
And
guidance.
so that does not mean that I'm going to lessen my expectations.
Right.
I'm going to keep them here because I was under a principal who always kept it here for me. So I'm going to keep it high for my
Mhm.
students. And so I think I'm just trying to navigate that balance between wanting to be my best but not burning myself out. So that's
And that's understandable
but
because you're
that's
only look,
yeah,
you're human and it's a part of life.
right,
It's a
right,
part of life. So
right.
the final and last question, which is for someone like myself that's pursuing a career in education.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I've had colleagues from my past say you already have a career in education, but they're saying that to say that you're really just enhancing. You're just
Mhm.
enhancing and you're just
Yeah.
improving because I've already been doing, been dealing with kids for so long. But for
Mhm.
someone like myself that's pursuing a degree in education and wants to become a licensed teacher and get out there and really get into, I'm in the thick of it, but I want to get elbows deep in the thick of it.
Mhm.
What type of training or type of support as my assistant principal do you think that you can provide for someone like myself that has decided, how would you pass the baton, so to speak?
Honestly, I would I don't know if this is necessary. How would I pass the baton? But I will tell you what I did as a teacher,
Okay.
and that was to attach myself to a vet.
Honey.
Attach yourself to a person that you look at and you're like, oh, that's the that's the type of teacher I want to be. Oh, that's the type, and even for me, when I was an instructional coach, oh, that's the type of instructional coach I wanted to be. I want to be. But attach yourself to someone that you truly idolize in this work.
So more like a mentor.
I'm having you a mentor
Yes, ma'am.
and make it so that, hey, I want to come see your class. Can I come sit in? Can I take some notes? Can I observe? Like, tell me some of your strategies, share some of your resources. Let me tell you, being a teacher, the best thing about teaching is getting resources from other teachers. That was my thing. And even as before I went on to be an assistant principal, and I still do mentor teachers, I still have three mentees that I can't shake. And I'm not trying to shake them, but Lord, but before I left, you know what I did? I put all my stuff out. I had libraries, galore, book. I said, here you go. And to this day, they still have my stuff that they are using. And so attaching yourself to a person that you see truly is the epitome of what you want to be as an educator, attach yourself to that person. It's just like when you find that right pastor.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you attach yourself to that pastor because that pastor, like he preaching right, he make it clear, whatever it is, you do the same thing when you seek out that educator and have that person as a mentor. That's
Mhm.
how I grew as a teacher. And I have several mentors that I would wish to mention here on this platform. There's Miss Tracy Payton, who's still at Lecky. There is Miss Joanne Cornish, that she was an instructional coach, and I actually just talked to her yesterday. She's now retired. So
Mhm.
you just have those people that you latch on to and that you can reach out to.
Well, I am just, first of all, thank you so much for sitting
You're
down with me.
welcome.
This was a really, first of all, amazing interview and quite informative for myself. And
Yes.
so you understand that you have definitely become one of my mentors. And I watch you all the time, and I'm just keeping my eyes open because
I know I
I
have my days, sis. I
oh
know I have
oh
my
no,
days.
but I've had my days. and you've guided me and given me whatever guidance I needed. So
Mm,
my thing of it is we are all entitled to our days, but we know at the end of the day that everything we do for these kids is out of love. We want them to
that's
grow.
it.
We want them to become well-rounded,
That's it.
beautiful adults, because
Yeah.
when we get old and retire, they gonna be taking care of us. So we gotta make sure
Okay.
they right. Gotta
So
make sure
true.
they in order.
That is
So
so
thank you.
true.
I appreciate you just doing
I
this with
love you,
me.
girl. You're
And
welcome. You
I
welcome.
appreciate it. And you have and enjoy the rest of your spring break
Yes.
because honey, we ain't gonna have no more breaks no time soon after this.
Listen, June, what are we in? May, right?
We
May,
know we in still in
April.
April. We
Well,
still
still in
it's April
April.
18th.
I gotta listen. Right from here, everything is boom, boom, boom. So I got hiring, I'm over hiring.
Of
So
course.
that is already picked up.
Uh-huh.
Hiring, all the eighth grade stuff, promotion, park, honey. It's moving, move. If you can see my